Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of I've Got Gameplay. I'm one of your hosts, Xander and I'm filling in for hosting duties for Mr. Michael Burham because he is off at the Play Expo down in the UK. But I am joined by our regular, wonderful co-host. I am joined with the VG Master himself, Lee. What's up, Lee?
How's it going? Having a good time.
And I'm also joined by the wonderful, very fancy-sounding Mr. Oliver Hughes. What's up, Oliver?
Hello. Although I've got a Southeast London accent, I'm not fancy sounding.
And
I take a compliment. Yeah.
And from the wonderful country of Canada, we're also joined by Sarah and Scott. What's up, guys?
Hello. Not much. How are you? I am also fancy.
What's that?
We're all fancy here. But yeah, this is going to be kind of a relaxing episode because I had a little bit of gaming news that I know that's one of the biggest things that we bring in when we first start the show. We start talking about gaming news, but it's been kind of a quiet week, to me anyway. I haven't seen anything on Facebook, like anybody posting anything crazy. I think the only thing I've seen that's been really crazy is the mixed reviews of Alien Isolation. And have any of you guys had a chance to play a demo or see gameplay footage of this game?
I've seen Markiplier play a little bit of it on YouTube. I think it looks good, though I'm not really a huge fan of Alien. But I haven't had a chance to play it, no.
Whenever it was shown at E3, mm-hmm. I caught the entire playthrough. I have yet to play it myself, but my initial idea was I really like the return to form where it's more of a survival horror than, like a run and gun or anything like that. It did seem genuinely creepy, and it had tons of atmosphere. I have yet to read into any of the gripes people have been having about the game, but it has me excited still.
Yeah.
Awesome. What about you, Oliver?
I've seen gameplay, but I've not got around to actually playing it myself. So I don't know. I can't see why people might just be hating on it because I don't know. Because a lot of games have been overhyped recently and fell short. So people might be over hating to compensate.
Yeah, because what about Shadow of Mordor? That was like a 3-day. This is the best game ever. I don't hear anyone talk about Shadow of Mordor anymore, and I do think that Shadow of Mordor might be one of those games that later on might become like a hidden gem, like a game that kind of slipped on the radar because it was kind of sandwiched in between like some bigger titles like Destiny and stuff like that. So most of those games later on in the console lifespan, I could see a YouTuber 3 years from now being like PS4 and Xbox One hidden gems, Shadows of Mordor. I could definitely see that happening. I've like I said, I haven't played Alien Isolation. I've heard mixed reviews of it. Some of the reviews I've heard of it though, like the bad reviews, doesn't scare me away. And I think a lot of it is I think some people had really high expectations because of what happened with Colonial Marines, because that was just a failure, a commercial failure. And the thing is, I think some people that are playing Alien Isolation are expecting a Colonial Marines 2. They're expecting the same type of gameplay, but this game is so different than Colonial Marines. Colonial Marines was kind of like a, first-person shooter with aliens, where this is more of a survival horror. I remember I was reading on Facebook that someone was complaining about Alien Isolation. They're like, oh my god, I've been playing the story mode, and I've played about 2 hours worth, and I haven't ran into one xenomorph yet. In this game, like you don't want to run into the aliens because the aliens would just mess you up. And I kind of made a slight comment being like, well, you do know with the first Alien movie, the alien didn't really show up until almost towards the last of the movie. It was that anticipation and kind of that tension that came into it. So that's my only thing about it. I'm not expecting it to be perfect anyway.
I mean, even if you go back to like the old PC Alien vs Predator game, Like when you played as Marine, you did not want to see the aliens. You ran whenever you saw a beep on your radar. It's not. I don't know where people are all about. Oh, aliens! I blast them to bits. It's like that's not the Alien franchise. These things are dangerous.
Yeah, and I think they're taking that atmosphere and putting it in the game, and that's the one thing that kind of excites me about it. And of course, I'm not sure if it has online multiplayer by any chance. If it doesn't have online multiplayer, the price is going to drop in like 2 months anyway. So I'm probably going to pick it up once it goes down to like, I don't know, $40, maybe $30, which will probably happen right after the holiday season. So,
Yeah.
And speaking of holiday season, they did release the prices and the first and second wave of the amiibos, the little Nintendo figurines. Looks like they're going to be retailed around $12.99. That's US. I'm not sure about in the UK. It's probably just a little bit more, but probably just about the same with currency. But what do you guys think about these amiibos?
They look cool. Like, I'm not entirely sure how they work yet, so it'd be cool to see them in action. Otherwise, I don't really know much about them. They look really nice, though, and they could be a good collector's item as well. If not now, then down the road.
I think my only concern with them is, if they start to turn like kind of like almost a pay-to-win thing, is like, oh, I put on a Mario figurine, and now I'm like super duper Mario, and I won't be going to get crushed under my might. That's the only thing I'd worry about.
I think I thought they're going to be banned from online stuff, or tournaments or something.
Yeah, I have no idea.
So, need to read more into that when they come out.
I think they're a prime example of Nintendo's magical merchandising wing.
Yeah.
Whenever I first heard about them, and I have very little information, basically all the information from E3, but it has me pretty excited. To think that the little figurine, which in itself could be pretty cool, could also store data from Smash Brothers and then become like your own personally trained combatant, and you could take it to your friend's house. I mean, I had these like dreams of building the most badass Samus Aran and just going around and owning everybody while I sat there and watched. It seems really cool. I do think it's going to be adapted very well at the beginning, but how much functionality they provide is going to be the key, because they kind of hinted at additional compatibility. I think it was like Mario Kart or something down the line.
Yeah, Mario Kart and the new Toad game that's actually come out, the Toad Treasure Tracker.
Yeah, so how that gets implemented and how long they stay around, I think that has yet to be seen.
And what about you, Oliver? What do you think about these little figurines of goodness?
Honestly, I have to be a devil's advocate here. I think they're a massive money-making ploy. They are cheap and tacky. People say they look good, but they're not going to hold any value once you take them out of the packaging. Again, like the Skylanders figures that Michael seems to love collecting for his kids. Like, you get one, and then there's the next one, which is gold, and it's like £10 more, and then it's got like 2 bits more stats, and then the previous ones are useless. And it's like, to make money, they're not going to give you all functionality first time out. They're going to slowly milk the money out of you by slowly adding content to these things, which, just really annoys me that a company like Nintendo, who are meant to be family friendly and not this big money grabbing company, is doing that.
Well, I agree. It is a huge marketing thing. I'm a sucker for little figurines. And they are marketing towards people like me. They're like, oh, these are going to look really cool on my shelf, and I really want to get these, and I'm really excited about them. My only thing is like, I have a feeling that these amiibos are going to be the holiday.
The holiday thing. Yeah.
The holiday thing. This is, every year we have some sort of like game or system or something that comes out that some parents get killed over. And I'm not even kidding. Like, you know, like the Tickle Me Elmo. I remember a woman got trampled to death. They get Tickle Me Elmo. And I feel like this is going to be the thing that the parents are going to be all going out to get. And the thing about it is like they're already sold out on Amazon. They're already sold out. So now we're going to have people that are going to be charging $10 to $20 to $30 more than they're worth. I have a feeling that some of them are going to be harder to find. I mean, you know, it's going to be easy to find like a Mario, a Link, you know, Samus, you know, the Nintendo characters that are you know, the old-fashioned figures are going to be easy, but the ones I think are going to be hard to find are like ones like the Villager, the Wii Fitness Trainer, you know, stuff like that. And those are the ones that people are going to be like, I have a Wii Fitness Trainer, and this is the first edition, and blah blah blah. That's where it's going to start getting kind of crazy. So, I don't have any of them pre-ordered. I would love to start getting them, but I don't know. I know my friend Amanda, she's already got them pre-ordered. She spent $140 and has the whole set coming in off of Amazon. I was like, man, that's freaking crazy.
Just them forever.
Yeah, it's just so crazy. So I mean, I'm looking forward to it, and let's see what else we got going on. Of course, you know, Toad Treasure Tracker has a release date now. I believe it's December 5th. Smash Brothers now is being released for the Wii U. It's going to be released on November 21st. And I know a lot of people are looking forward to that. I personally, I still haven't gotten Smash Brothers on the 3DS because I want to get it on the Wii U.
Same. Yeah.
So, what about you guys? Anyone picking up Smash?
I'd like to get it for the Wii U. I had the demo for 3DS, but the controls felt weird, and then I heard reviews that it feels too big to be on the 3DS, like they're encountering, I guess, some space or the lagging problems or something. So I'm just going to wait until I can play it on the Wii U with friends around me. What else? I think I heard the remake of Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire is coming out the same day, or around then as well. So I'm like, oh god.
Yeah, I know. Bayonetta 2 is coming out the same day as Fantasy Life on the 3DS, and then.
Oh really?
Yeah, they're both coming out October 24th. And Evil Within's coming out this Tuesday. Are any of you guys looking into that game?
Which one, sorry?
Evil Within. It's the new survival horror game put out by the original director of Resident Evil. I believe it's going to be on all platforms except for Nintendo.
Oh wow. No, I don't think so. I'm waiting for Dragon Age Inquisition. That's November 18th. I'm just sitting here waiting for it. I want that game so bad.
The last game that could be any way considered horror that I played is the original Bioshock, and after that, actually no, after the first few levels of it, Bill can't do this anymore. I think that's the last survival horror game I've played.
I played System Shock 2 about 5 years ago.
The Last Among Us. The Last Among Us was a good survival horror game.
Oh, The Last of Us.
Yeah.
I didn't really consider that survival horror. Like, it definitely has those elements.
It's a genre hybrid. It's survival horror and,
yeah, like,
I mean,
there's quite a few moments where it's like, oh my god, if they see me, I'm dead. But, for the most part, it doesn't feel like it's a survival horror. Like, the other ones, they feel, to me, more, I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, survival horror to me is that genre to me is a game that you have very limited ammo, and you have that intense feeling, and you do get that in The Last of Us, especially those freaking clickers. When you hear the clickers and you're like, holy shit, I gotta hide behind this. That to me is like where the survival horror element comes in, compared to like a game like even Resident Evil 4. It was a great action game. I don't really consider that game as survival horror because you even had a guy giving you ammo. What you buying? You didn't have that in Resident Evil 2. You had liquors. That was it. So yeah, I mean, with that coming out right around the corner from Halloween, I think that would be a good Halloweeny game to play. Definitely. And I wasn't on the last episode with you guys, but did we touch base on the Retron 5 fiasco?
No, we did not. I don't believe.
Price has been jacked up again.
Oh.
Well, okay. This is kind of older news. This news that came out last week. But Hyperkin's in a big.
They're kind of in trouble.
Yeah, they are in trouble because like what they've been doing is the Retron 5 is pretty much it's an emulation console. I mean, I know a lot of collectors and stuff like that, and this has kind of turned a lot of collectors off that want to play on the real thing, is that the Retron 5 takes the carts and takes the ROM from the cart and dumps it into the console and is using an Android-based operating system.
What?
Now, with that being said, they're using a lot of emulators to help play these cards, but the problem is they're using a lot of commercial emulators and they didn't give any credit for the code. So they're pretty much plagiarizing these emulations. And these companies are turning around and, roundhouse kicking them in the face, which is going to cause, at the worst, it might cause cease production of the Retron 5. And the Retron 5 is already, so freaking high in price. It was originally $100. Then went up to like $130. Now it's like people are selling them on eBay for $350. And what do you guys think about this? Like, even with all this freaking trouble, do any of you guys still want a Retron 5?
No. I thought about it, and then I don't have enough of the supported games to make it worth the price of getting one. And even then, like, it's an emulator. I can just do that on my computer.
Yeah.
Or the virtual console. And then I don't have to spend like $500 on games that are just going to be dumped onto the console anyway.
Yeah.
It really is a shame that I was looking forward to the Retron 5 because I really felt it was something that could have consolidated a living room a little bit.
I thought so too.
But I honestly never heard about the emulation issue. All the issues I've been hearing were individual compatibilities, issues with controllers. It seems very here and there, but a lot of people that at least for reviews I checked out, it said that they were disappointed. But, I mean, now with that new information, I mean, seriously? You want me to pay $100 for a ZSNES? Come on.
You can get it for free, like, just over there on the internet, and it works properly.
The ZSNES has been around for like 20 years. So it's like, it really is silly.
I paid $20, got a USB Super Nintendo controller. Done.
Yeah.
Yes, now I can play Super Nintendo games, almost like the real thing.
And I think if I wanted to go that route, then I may as well grab myself like one of the tools to actually rip the ROM from the game and like play it on my Raspberry Pi.
You just make a script and program everything.
Yeah, like I think at that point, if it's going to cost like a few $100s for me to buy the Retron 5, I may as well just build something myself.
You probably could as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's something crazy, definitely. I honestly like. What do you think about this, Oliver? What do you think about the Retron 5?
It feels like at the moment there's a huge kind of influx in people being obsessed with retro gaming. There's a core group who actually enjoy it, and then there's a load of people who've jumped on the bandwagon going, yeah, I love retro gaming, I remember games from my childhood, and that's what they're trying to cash in on. Like, yeah, play all your games from your childhood. It's like, well, and then we're going to shortchange you. It just, I don't know, yeah, again, with the emulation, it just feels like you shouldn't be paying more than £20 or £30.
Yeah, I mean the one thing I have is I have the Ouya, and that has emulators on it. It cost me about $85 when I got it, and it's a small little cube. I got some emulators on. I got some ROMs on it, and it works fine. It's unfortunate that Retron 5 did turn out the way it did, but I kind of had that feeling. It was so good. It was so too good to be true. I was like, something's going to fuck up. And here's the funny thing about it, is not only does the Retron 5, it's an emulation console pretty much, but it also won't play flashcard games. Like if you guys have, those carts that you put ROMs in a flash card and you put it in your console and you can play any game you want, you can't play those on the Retron 5, or you can't play homebrews. So, I don't know.
So it just feels like they're saying, oh, play all your old favourites, but we're going to limit to what you can do. We're going to give you, again, like if you want to play an emulator, there are good emulators out there, and you can choose which ones you want. Whereas if you're buying this console, they have chosen what emulator, and it might not be the best one. There are some emulators that are a little bit glitchy and a little bit off. So if they've chosen one of them, then you're stuck with that.
That kind of brings up the issue, too, with, like, me, I'm a purist. I pull out my Super Nintendo and I'll play games. I'm not really big on emulation, just because for certain games, like games that I have completely played the crap out of, like Mario Kart, Super Metroid, the precise controls on those games, sometimes there can be like a lag in the emulators, especially like on newer TVs. And I mean, I'm sure there's adjustments that can be done, and especially if you get an emulator from the developers, they often come with a plethora of bells and whistles for adjusting for the lag, adjusting for the sound, adjusting the resolution. If it comes built into a console and it has that lag in it, then you're just like asked, no, you can't do anything. And I'd be a pissed off dude if I can't wall jump in Super Metroid.
Okay, how do I come in? Sorry.
Oh, you're in right now. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we were joined by another great Canadian friend of ours, Sean. What's up, man?
How's it going, eh?
No, dude, boot it.
But yeah, we right now we were just discussing the Retron 5. We were discussing the lawsuit that Hyperkin's about to go under, and before we segue to another subject, Sean, since you just jumped in, what's your thoughts about the Retron 5? I know you saw my meme this morning. I posted on the podcast page.
Okay, well, for the record, I'm a Raspberry Pi guy. I use the RetroPie project there. Actually, that's my thing on my channel is I do a tutorial and I got to update it. But in concept, the Retron 5 is pretty decent, but the way they went around it now, it's coming out now, where they were taking emulator code that was meant for non-commercial use and for not for profit, and turning around and doing it like that, and it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Now the price increase is slowly coming up. It's just burning a lot of people, in my opinion. Like I said, it's a great concept. It's an HDMI only device that upscales all your games, but it's still emulation. I see so many people are like, I'm against emulation, but you have Xbox Live Arcade and you have the Wii Virtual Channel and things like that. So you have emulation, but this thing is like emulation using the actual cartridges via ROM dump. It just seems like they don't have a good knowledge of how they should have been going about this in the first place. Like anybody who would have been doing this properly and had experience and a good head at this would have done the due diligence to make sure that they were going about it the right way, and then turned around and now like, oh shit, we're probably going to get the acid suit out of us. And footnote that they revealed that Retron X86. The reason why I have such a problem with that is because on my Facebook last year I showed a design back in October, and it was shared publicly, that I was planning on throwing this device called a Keyrot inside of VIC-20 that I was going to get my hands on, and throw a Raspberry Pi inside of that. And I was actually discussing it with Mike Facilis Prime there, Mark Verheer. Mark can actually verify this for me. And all of a sudden, a few months later, what are they doing? They're outlining that they're going to release an ARM-based emulation device inside of a VIC-20. So, yeah, there's that. And then I tried to discuss it with them, and they said, and I actually put up the picture and put up the date and that, and I asked them about it on Twitter. I was like, oh, is that the picture that you put up on our Facebook? And then they left it at that. So, yeah, I was kind of not pleased.
Well, for some of our listeners, because I know a lot of our listeners, they're console people. They don't do a whole lot of PC. And before we segue and take our break and go into our main subject, How about you tell us a little bit what is the Raspberry Pi? Because I got hungry when I heard it. Like, holy shit, there's something you can play games on?
Well, it's a lot of people use it for different purposes. It's pretty much, if anybody's familiar with what an Arduino is, you can use it for like solar charge control devices. Some people use it to make little handhelds. They're a learning computer, a lot like the BBC Micro was back in the day. They're $35, size of a credit card, comes with like Ethernet ports and things like that. They're an ARM-based device. A lot of people just use them for emulation. I got it thrown inside of a case made out of Legos. I got a USB SNES pad hooked up to it, and it's got HDMI and composite, and I just use it for emulation. I got a 32 gig card, and I'm playing everything from Atari 2600 all the way up to PlayStation. I can play Symphony of the Night, or I can play, Combat.
I have a Raspberry Pi too, and I bought the camera module with it, so I'm playing around with doing some programming with the camera module.
Yeah, Ben Heck actually showed there a couple weeks ago on his YouTube channel. So he made a little point and shoot out of it.
Oh, cool.
I think someone's even made a cell phone with it.
Oh yeah, that thing was like dirt cheap to make. The guy made it for like $140 at Maker Faire.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
The size of a brick or something like that.
Yeah, like he didn't have any case or anything with it, but it's all like off the shelf stuff, like the GSM modem and the little touch screen and everything like that. Wow. So it was pretty fly for something that's just like all off the shelf parts. But yeah, I'd rather use that. And the Raspberry Pi only costs $35. That's the thing too. That's the kicker. And it uses all off the shelf stuff for if like you want to hook a keyboard or mouse, etc. to it. Instead of going out and paying like $100 and $130 now, was it $160 now? The price increases now on the Retron 5.
Yeah.
Jesus, you're better off just going out and buying all the original consoles. You can get them all probably in a lot for cheaper.
Yeah,
it's getting crazy, and I mean it's pretty much at this point Hyperkin, on their last light, they're kind of just milking that retro revolution right now. People that are just now getting back into it. Like Oliver was saying, that, play games from your childhood. I mean, that's the biggest thing right there. Nostalgia. Nostalgia is a freaking drug. And I am a huge drug addict when it comes to nostalgia. Only nostalgia.
Oh, man. I'm freebasing when it comes to nostalgia.
Only nostalgia, guys. But I think this would be a good way for us to kind of segue. What we're going to do is we're going to take a break. And we're going to go and, if any of us have to go to the bathroom or get something to drink, all of us are going to be doing that. But when we come back, we're going to be talking about gaming culture. We're going to be talking about how video games have, kind of changed our lives, made us into, artists, people like Sean who are, building these little computers and reliving their childhood and, made us get in front of the camera like I do and do YouTube videos or music and stuff like that. It's going to be really interesting, guys, so stay put and we'll be right back.
We all die, but the goal isn't to live forever, but to create something that will. 2, 3, here we go.
Infinite life, we got infinite life. Never say never, we're gonna live forever. Infinite lives, we got infinite life. Never say never, we're gonna live forever.
Yo, heard you only live once, well I'ma disagree, cause you can live forever and forever doesn't cease. Live through your creations and the people that you teach, so I live through my music eternally through the beats. First email says I'm digging that verse, the next 4 emails I'm missing that merch. You can't take it with you and so I never intended to. Before my last interview, this is the gift I'm sending you.
Never gonna die, no we're never gonna die. You can hear my words in this song, it'll play on after I'm gone. Never gonna die, no we're never gonna die. You can hear my words in this song, it'll play on after I'm gone.
Heard you only live once, that's cool I suppose, but you can live forever through the songs you compose, experiences you share, the highs and the lows, experimentation with the flows, cause God knows she learned more about life from Pac's works than she ever could have gotten in church. Is that wrong? Living for that song, learning from that lyric and steering others from wrong. We living off love, never needing a meal, full from the enlightenment and warmth that we feel. Yeah, overflow of emotion from chilling, chasing the girls to floating over the ocean and maybe changing the world. First 2 emails like, hey, that's hype. Next few emails, you changed my life. Even if I inspire and people call it untimely, all you gotta do is rewind me, cause I've got
infinite life. We got infinite life. Never say never. We're gonna live forever. Infinite lives. We got infinite life. Never say never. We're gonna live forever.
They said you only live once, well I beg to differ, cause you can live forever through the feelings you deliver. From the first raindrop to the rush of a mighty river, I give you the bigger picture and leave a fissure, open and full of hope and it's smoldering like a coaching. Proceeding with caution will never free your garden pardon. Everybody who doubted and left my memory clouded, I decided instead of complaining I'd do something about it. Forever's not a time, it's a place of a state of mind. No, they never gave me mine, I elected to stay behind. Cause these I need done, pages I haven't filled, places I haven't been to, and stages I haven't killed, lives I haven't touched, and words I need to say. Tell me who needs forever when all forever's the day. If I die, it's right on time, it's meant to be this way. Now tell me who needs forever, all forever's today. Come on.
Infinite life. We got infinite life. Never say never. We're gonna live forever. Infinite lives. We got infinite life. Never say never. We're gonna live forever. Never gonna die. No, we're never gonna die. You can hear my words in this song. It'll play on after I'm gone. Never gonna die. No, we're never gonna die. You can hear my words in this song. It'll play on after I'm long gone.
All right, guys, we are back, and we're going to be touching on the main subject of the podcast tonight, and that's going to be gaming culture and how it's influenced us. Now, this subject was actually brought up by Lee. Lee came up with this subject, so I'm going to hand the mic to him at first. And Lee, if you can tell us something about gaming and how it's kind of influenced the way you are. Like, how did video games make Lee?
That's a long story. We'll get bits and pieces of that over time. I've grown up loving games. I have a strong passion for games, especially a lot of the retro stuff. But the idea behind the gaming culture is I wanted to make sure we had a chance to highlight all the amazing artistic creations and unique creations that people have made over the years inspired by video games. Whether it's amazing artwork done, I've seen a lot of amazing artwork with video game inspiration. There is a whole genre of music that has like a subcategory for video games, nerdcore. I've been a huge fan of that for years. That's pretty much all I listen to. And everything else down to all the guys that slave away and make the YouTube videos that we love and enjoy. Xander, you're one of them. I enjoy your videos, many videos like Travis, obviously Happy Console Gamer. All these guys all just kind of were so inspired by video games that they created something unique that a lot of people enjoy. And I really think that was necessary to highlight it.
Definitely. And I'll get to myself in a second, but I definitely want to talk to Sarah about this, because Sarah, you do artwork. I have actually one of your first art pieces in my game room, the Castlevania one, which is freaking awesome. But you actually went off and went to Vancouver Classic Gaming Expo, and
That was actually fun, yeah.
you did some of your art there. And what exactly inspired you out of everything to draw, out of everything to paint? Like, what was it that made you be like, hey, I want to do video games?
Ooh, that's actually a really good question. I think back when I was a kid, I've grown up with gaming since I was 3 years old, and I think the first time I remember really wanting to draw something to do with video games was when everybody in my entire school was obsessed with Pokemon back when we were in grade 4. And I was like, I want to draw my own Pokemon trainer, I want to draw all the Pokemon, and it kind of just went from there. Like, I would draw my own characters inspired by different games I would play. I would actually draw fan art from games I play. I think it's just because the games that I've played and I love have this sort of, like, they have so many stories and they they take you on all sorts of adventures, and I've really liked that, and I guess I want to kind of give that back in a sense with the only way that I know how. So, with the things that I did for the Retro Gaming Expo, I wanted to take the nostalgia, the feeling of exploring and trying out a new story for the first time. I wanted to take that and sort of put my own spin on it. So that was where the Castlevania thing came from, and I'm going to do more of that. I'm going to hope to be at the same expo again next year, and I'm going to start going to more conventions, but I think drawing video game stuff has been my way of putting my two biggest things together, which is video games and drawing, and I want to become a concept artist for video gaming eventually, so I guess that's just my way of expressing my love for video games, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's good. What about you, Oliver? Like, I don't know too much about you other than I got gameplay. I don't know if there's anything that you do that really influences that video games really influence you. And maybe you're really good at sneaking.
Yeah, I mean, video games, yeah, I mean, it influenced my life, but not in the fact that, I've not actually done anything creative from it. You guys all seem to have done amazing creative things from it. I've just got very good at games, which is kind of sad.
Oh, that's good too, though.
What about you, Sean?
Oh, thank you for the pity.
So about how the video game nostalgia is going to influence me?
Yeah, just games in general.
Well, I don't know, just really I find, like, even these days, even with, like, the current, I can't say current gen now, because that's Xbox One and PS4, but, for everything else, even my PC games, I have a dual monitor setup here. I have a CRT and an LCD set up off of my computer, and, like, if I'm playing something like Shovel Knight now, I actually play it on my CRT, and besides that, though, I kind of look at current games with more of, like, I guess the get off my lawn perspective of things sometimes. It's just like, I see a lot of the hype. Like, all I've been seeing on my feed now on Facebook for the last, I'd say, a month and a half is Destiny. Like, I never got to yet. I got them put on my watch later. Rob Mann has been doing some streams of it lately, and it's not that I didn't get to jump on the bandwagon, but I just get overworked at work sometimes, and so I haven't really got to look at them. But my nostalgia really gets me to the point where I'll get fed up sometimes with the current gen game, and I'll hop on something else and play like Neo Geo or something like that, and Puzzle Bob. And I just find like the nostalgia brings me back to a simpler time, and I can just relax with it. And I got a 19-year-old niece that I raised. Long story short, and my sibling wasn't able to, so I did. And I really got her into a lot of the older systems than that, where I've gotten her a Nintendo, a Super Nintendo, a GameCube. She's very big into the whole Nintendo thing, but also like a modded PlayStation and a few other things there. And she has a real appreciation of like a lot of the older things. Like I see some kids like look at some of the retro and they're like, oh, that's cool. Some are like, oh, that's not new. I don't want to touch it. Like, I was like, oh, the graphics suck and things like that. And I like to educate some on it. Like, I don't try to do any snobbery. The closest I get is like I use the CRT for playing like my retro games because that's what they're meant to be on. Like, yeah, if I get like a Flame Monster and RGB mod, everything, yeah, I'd play them on like an HD TV. But I don't know. It just I have like a Zenith Allegro vinyl stereo system out in the living room. I have a VCR bartered for because my last one died, and then I'm very much still into the fact that I'm partially living in the past in some ways. So I don't know that it's half nostalgia and half still with me. So it's kind of hard for me to really put it in words.
Yeah, and Sean, I'll go ahead and mention too on because we're friends on Facebook. I remember when you got your new place, and I looked at it, I was like, it looks like, and you guys are listening, his place looks like the cool place in the 80s that the kids go to hang out to like smoke cigarettes.
Oddly enough, I've quit smoking for like a year now.
Oh, congratulations. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy, and, with myself, I've always had a love for music. My father was a musician. He was a touring musician for a country band. He played bass and piano. He did lighting. He did a lot of, he even did his own podcast on racing and stuff like that. So it's weird that a lot of my influences have kind of, been off of him. I mean, I do stuff that are different than what he does, but it's pretty much the same thing. But I always loved music, and when I was little, the two things I listened to the most was classical music and video game music. And I remember when we had Mega Ran on the show, and he's really big into the nerdcore and chiptune scene. That's gotten huge. And me and him were kind of gushing about video game soundtracks, and I would listen to classical music. I would listen to music my sister would listen to. Like, my sister would listen to, like rock or rap or whatever. And I always appreciated it. Classical music was like my thing. Like, that was the thing that I liked to listen to. And I also liked to listen to video game music. And I think a lot of it was because I would influence my enjoyment with my talent. Because I'm a musician. I learn everything by ear, and I play everything. And so, like, over the years, when they would ask us, what do you want to be when you grow up? You have kids being like, I want to be a police officer, I want to be a doctor, I want to be an astronaut, I want to be a gynecologist. I was like, I want to make video game soundtracks or even movie soundtracks. I'm a big fan of movie soundtracks, like film scores. Big fan of that as well. And since joining the gaming community, it's kind of fed that talent even more, and I've been doing more video game music. I'm doing a little fan project. It's not really an indie game yet. This is a fan project of a retro RPG, and I'm doing all the music for that, all original music. And it takes a lot of work, but it's just so funny how, we get so caught up with the nostalgia, and we get so caught up with how the music is that, I think all of us can agree. You could hear a piece of video game music, and it does take you to a different spot that you were in your life, like a certain summer, or maybe a relationship, or, an old friend or something like that. You hear that game, and you're just like, it's more than just a game at that point.
You hit the nail on the head right there, man. Music, especially video game music, that hits me right in the feels every fucking time. Like a Mack truck. And, I've had friends over the years kind of, give me weird looks because, I have an album, a CD in my car that is nothing. It's 127 tracks, and it's nothing but music from Mega Man 1 through 10. Cool. Like original 8-bit music. And you can go on. I mean, the music in video games is, I can't even think of an argument that would go against it being an art form. Especially with like Nobuo Uematsu and, Koji Kondo making all the Nintendo music. That stuff is very, very iconic. So yeah, I mean, I would hear a song and immediately, like hearing the Moon theme in DuckTales. Boom, that takes me back to being like 12 years old down in my, my cousin's room, playing the game, beating DuckTales instantly. And It's an amazing feeling. It's definitely one of the more wonderful aspects I have in terms of nostalgia for video games.
Do you like the cover for that in the DuckTales remaster? All the songs being redone. Did you like the new version?
I just recently picked that up. I was waiting to pick the physical copy up, and I picked it up on the Wii U. A good friend of mine who is an avid retro gamer and collector like me. Not so much a collector, I just collect the old games that I enjoy. He was really touting it. He really, really spoke highly of it. And I have to admit, I do like a lot of the tunes that were in the remake. Going through the whole game, it kind of seems like they remixed it and then gave it like every song like a little metal twist in a very, very soft sense. But I will say, during the ending credits, there is a piano version of the Moon theme that was moving. Not gonna lie, that really blew me away. It was very unexpected.
Yeah, you even have like symphonies. Yeah. They had the one for Zelda, and they had the Distant Worlds for Final Fantasy. Like people will go to these orchestrated concerts, and
people talk about that a lot.
So what now?
I had front row tickets for Distant Worlds. Twice.
Oh, man. Like, I mean, when I hear, like, the Final Fantasy XIV song, like the intro song and the lyrics and the way, the chick sings it does give me goosebumps. And it's funny because, when I'm writing video game music, like, especially for this RPG that we're doing, I told the guy, I was like, yeah, I do video game music. And he's like, cool, And I would tell him, like, okay, well, I need to know, some of the bios of the characters, like what are their personalities. I need to see screenshots. I need to, see gameplay. Because when I would write video game music, it wasn't just like I was like, writing something that sounds like techno. Yeah. I would try to write something that matched the atmosphere of the game. Like I even asked him, because he was like, yeah, I need a cave theme. I'm like, okay, well, what kind of cave? Is it, is it like a rocky cave? Is it like a crystal cave? Because my music would reflect that. Like, if it's an icy, crystal-like cave, I would add a lot more, like, distant ambience and synthesizers and almost like little raindrop type of noises. But if it was more like an earth or a rocky cave, it would be more like tribal. It would be more earthy, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it's just amazing that some outside people they look at it and they're like, holy shit, like we really dissect it. It's more than just a video game.
That made me think of something, and I've not been to many concerts and listened to live music. I love music. I never really got into going to see him live and stuff like that. So when I went to go see Distant Worlds my first time, I'll never forget this. Whenever somebody describes a situation, an environment as being electric, you kind of, you think of that as like some metaphor for excitement. I was watching Distant Worlds, and I was blown away. We went and seen the whole show. They ended, and they showed the credits on the back screen. They were playing the Terrace theme from Final Fantasy VI, and it was showing the mechs walking through the snow. It was just amazing. It was over with. The room erupted with applause. Arnie Roth, the conductor, amazing. Takes his bow, walks off stage. Like a few minutes later, walks back on stage and says, "We have time for one more song." And he gets up there, and you could hear a mouse fart in the room. It's so quiet. And then all of a sudden, One Winged Angel starts up.
Oh my God.
Immediately, people were on their feet, literally, the hairs all over my body, standing on end with the electricity of the room. There was such a thunderous applause and excitement, and I've never experienced anything like that in terms of listening to music in my entire life. Feeling the percussion and the excitement in the room. That's something I'll cherish for the rest of my life.
Yeah, that reminds me of when I went to Video Games Live about 4 years ago. I've been trying to go back, but we always didn't have enough money or didn't have enough time, or they weren't in Vancouver at that point. It was the first time I ever went to a concert for video game music, and I didn't really have such specific experience as what you said, but I do remember it was like palpable excitement, and I think one of the songs they had, I was just like, just don't cry. I think it was Mass Effect. They had Mass Effect right at the beginning. I hadn't played it, but they had like the whole montage with Mass Effect 1 and 2, and they had the music, and I'm just sitting there afterwards, I'm like, I should really play that game. And I did, like 2 weeks afterwards, borrowed the first one from my sister, and that's probably what got me to finally start playing it. That's one of my favorite video game series that I've ever played, pretty much. So. Yeah,
it's interesting because there's more to music. There's also food. Like I don't know if you guys, I don't know if anyone else plays a lot of Final Fantasy 14, but they actually opened up a restaurant in Japan based off of Final Fantasy 14, based off one of the taverns. And it's like a carbon copy. It's like walking in there, and I was just like, man, this is insane. And Japan does a lot of it. And they do a lot of the video game stuff, and even now, it kind of caters to us now with stuff like barcades. We're older now, and some of us like to go out and have a beer, but at the same time, they put arcades in bars and have like almost like an adult Chuck E. Cheese for us, or like Showbiz Pizza if you want to go that back. But it's crazy. It's really crazy how much of a phenomenon that the gaming culture has done now. I'm trying to think of what else to cover with this. I mean, we talked about the art, the music. I'm drawing blanks
on the
here.
subject of the music, I like some of the nostalgia. Like I'm a big fan of the Fallout series, especially like Fallout 3 in New Vegas. And in the opposite, like they do compose their own music, but at the same time they use a lot of older music. And that like Fallout 3 is like a lot more the 40s kind of music, and Fallout New Vegas uses like a lot more the 50s into the early 60s, older like rock and roll / old school country and things like that. I actually caught myself singing a couple of those songs there actually when I was at work. But I remember like as well like hearing a lot of those songs when I was growing up, like watching a lot of older movies and things like that. Like a lot of the old black and white movies they'd run on Sunday mornings. Although I grew up in like the middle and northeastern Canada, a lot of our like American television came from Detroit. And WXYZ out of Detroit would run what they call the Roxy every Sunday morning, and you hear a lot of the old music, and I'd hear a lot of it again playing Fallout 3, and it'd make me actually weirdly nostalgic for these old shows.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that kind of is a thing.
Yeah, it definitely is, and it's funny how much, it's more than video games to most of us, and not in a creepy way. It's just a weird self-conscious type of thing, because I tell you guys, like, I listen to, I'll be playing Mario Sunshine, okay? And I remember this was one summer, I was playing Mario Sunshine, and at the same time I bought, like, a Kiss Greatest Hits album, and I was listening to Kiss while I was playing Mario Sunshine. So now whenever I hear, like, certain Kiss songs, I think of Mario Sunshine.
Nice.
It's weird how things like that happen, or, you'll be playing a game and you think about a certain summer that you did stuff, or maybe a road trip. You're like, man, I remember playing my Game Boy or Game Gear and, being on a road trip and going on a vacation with my family. I mean, it goes in so much weird things, and I think that's the reason why it's still such a huge, almost bigger than life culture thing with all of us, is because it's more than just the video games, it's the memories that follow. And I mean, that's one of the reasons why I do my channel, is, I don't just do reviews. I'm not, trying to look at some game that just came out and tell people what I think about it. Most of my reviews or most of my videos are memories. I'd look back and I'm like, let me tell you guys about, my experiences with the Super Nintendo. And it's funny because I don't know what made me start doing those kind of videos. Maybe it was influenced by other YouTubers like Happy Console Gamer. And he's like me with nostalgia. Maybe it was Gamester81 or Pete Dorr or something like that. But it was just like I've had a lot of stuff that happened in my life that revolved around video games. I want to make videos about it. So I don't know.
I have a story. Sorry, just kind of going back to when you said. Video games kind of bring you back to a certain point in your life. I remember Zelda Ocarina of Time. That actually helped me and my sister when we used to live in Australia back when we were kids. And we moved to Canada when we were about 10, 11. A little bit before we moved, we knew we wanted the game, but we thought, well, we can't get it because we're going to be living in Canada. And a friend of ours, or other twins, they invited us to their birthday party, and the morning afterwards we were playing Ocarina of Time for a little bit, and they actually lent us their copy of the game. So we played a little bit. It was like they finished the game by that point, but we played it in bits and pieces. And I think a couple of days before we left, my sister and I were just sitting in a room, and my mom and my grandma come in, and Mom's like, well, we can't get Zelda at the airport because the deal was they buy it for us because, they're uprooting us to the other side of the planet. This Mom's like, we can't get you Zelda at the airport. We're like, why? She pulls out a bag and says, because we already got it.
Awesome.
Nice.
And
That's
then
awesome.
because of that, we moved there, and we had to wait about 6 weeks for all of our stuff to get shipped in. And one of my friends that I made at my new class, I guess he helped us through the game a little bit. So we were talking like, where are you up to? What are you doing? And then he's like, just get the strategy guide. So we did. We played the game, and it took us about 6 months to beat it, just on and off, playing. But that actually was what helped us bridge the transition between being in Australia one day and literally being in Canada the next. It's like, where are we?
And it's so ironic that it would be a Zelda game.
That kind of helped us get used to the uprooting thing.
And also another quick story.
Okay.
I remember what you were saying, Xander, about playing Mario Sunshine and listening to Kiss. I did something very, very similar when I was maybe 12. I was playing Duke Nukem 3D and listening to Madonna.
Why?
Why not?
That's
but which album now?
It
Was it Duke Nukem 3D, or was it,
It was the original Duke Nukem 3D, it wasn't any of the, expansion packs, or did they have expansion packs?
Mm-hmm.
I know there's Atomic
was he in the strip bar and Justify My Love was playing or something like that?
Something like that. I can't remember what album it was, though. But yeah, I just, have Duke Nukem's, music audio down, was playing the CD in my computer at the time, and yeah, it's just listening to Madonna and killing aliens. And being strippers, apparently.
Now, here's something funny, because, with the whole art and culture, the biggest thing that we see is a lot of the retro stuff. Now, Sarah, in your opinion, what is it do you think that makes, pixel art, so much of a bigger, artistic vehicle for video game culture as opposed to maybe, of the more newer stuff that has polygons or, rendering or CGI? What is it that makes an 8-bit, 16-bit sprite so, artistically appetizing?
I think it's because of its simplicity. On the one hand, you need a sort of unique thing to let you know what kind of character you're seeing, but on the other hand is you don't get all the details of what the characters look like. You just get the basic version of it, so the rest of it's kind of left up to your imagination, which is probably how so much video game inspired art started happening. It's like, what does this character look like? What does this character look like? Unless you have official art, you don't know. So you can kind of fill in the blanks, I guess. So you can just kind of so you have a little sprite. It's kind of charming, but it also leaves a lot to the imagination, which I think kind of adds to the experience. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it was funny. No, go ahead.
Sorry. So quickly adding on to that, I guess another reason why using like old, like 8-bit, 16-bit, I guess rendering sprites and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like one of the reasons why they're doing that is it's because it's really easy to make. Like it's both really easy and really hard to make pixel art. Like I used to do a lot of that when I was younger, and the restrictions for the pixel art community was like super, super tough. Like some cases you only have like 16 unique colors to work with, and you may be making this like huge image and using like all these tricks that people have access to, or that people know, to kind of take this 16 color palette and just expand it and still keep it within that limit.
So I guess in a way it's kind of more creative as well, though I don't want to belittle the work that's gone into even newer things, but I think you had to be more resourceful with the things that you were given.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably what adds to the charm as well.
Yeah, like, especially with the older games, like, there's a lot of, like, tricks and, like, I guess you have to be a very technical person as well as being a very artistic person, because you'd have, like, basically a shoebox worth of information and you're trying to put your whole entire house in that shoebox.
Wow.
Well, that kind of area of things, though, what do you think of like games that are done in that retro look, like Mega Man 9, 10, and plus like Shovel Knight? I'm playing the shit out of Shovel Knight these days.
You did too.
Shovel Knight is amazing. Amazing. I've gone through that a few times, and I have no gripes. I could get a different Shovel Knight type game every month, and I would be happy for the rest of my life.
Me too. I play Shovel Knight on my CRT.
Yeah, in my living room, I have this massive technological accomplishment with all this different stuff, but I still have my HD TV, and then I have a CRT in the corner for all the systems that I want to play on those. Like, going back and playing Super Nintendo games, it just doesn't feel right on an HD TV.
Yeah, I agree.
It's true, though.
I agree with that. It doesn't feel right playing on HD television sometimes. And plus, I mean, you get like lag and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, My Life in Gaming actually did a video on that about, like, you know, they try different upscalers and things like that, and they have, like, these RGB conversions, either natively or modded for a lot of them.
Someone just get disconnected?
That's
Oh, yeah, I think Sean just got cut out.
Oh.
Hey.
Uh-oh.
Going back to what the discussion was about the music in the games, you know, the newer games, whenever they're doing the music and they're emulating an 8-bit system,
Whoa, what happened?
I have to say, hands down, that's an art form. It's amazing. You think back to, like, Blaster Master. The technology that went into the audio in that game had to have been, like, the same as the calculators I was using in school. And, I mean, how iconic is the first stage theme, the Blaster Master?
Yeah.
How did they make something so timeless with just so little?
Creativeness.
Same thing as Guardian Legend. I was playing some today.
Oh yeah, I love
Great
that
game.
Yeah, I cut out there for a minute there. Sorry about that. The phone company is actually trying to get at the bottom of that. I'm on my second modem now. We haven't even been in this apartment for a month. And I'm waiting for, well, my brother works for the company too. I'm just waiting for the offer, the free upgrade to fiber, so.
Can't turn that down.
Nope.
But, you know, I'm very, very pleased with the retro remakes. Shovel Knight is awesome because it kind of took pedigrees from multiple games. But, like, even Mega Man. Mega Man is a very simple concept. All you got to do is add a few little things, 8 new robots, and boom, you're off to the races. And it's a formula that works. It works very well. And it's not, they even, back in the early 90s, maybe, you know, there was a new Mega Man game every year. I think it was like 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94. There was like a new Mega Man game. And they still didn't get played out. So that should tell you something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely the games were a lot more difficult. You kind of got a little bit more what you paid for, and the art style today, it still looks fresh. Like there's something about those sprites. They're timeless. You look at a system now. Like if you play N64 now, it looks dated. You play early PlayStation games, they look dated.
Oh my god, the fog.
Yeah,
the fog for distance draw cheating.
Yeah, it was just it's so
Silent
funny.
Hills. That game was supposed to be foggy scary, but I'm sure that fog had more to do with the technological limitations than it did trying to be spooky.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you render things enough, and then they're like, oh crap, what do we do? Add fog! Okay.
And that's what they did. I mean, that was just a little trick they had back then. But yeah, I think we definitely covered a lot of the culture here, and before we get to our last segment, this is the last segment is something I do on XS Gaming Podcast, and then after that segment we'll go into plugs. If you guys could maybe list maybe your favorite video game song or something like that, we'll go around and say what's one of our favorite video game songs. I'll go ahead and say Bloody Tears Castlevania.
Bastard.
You're a bastard.
That's one of my choices right there, but not my main.
Which version?
Bloodlines.
Really?
Yeah, there's something about the Sega Genesis sound chip I love.
Yeah, I do love it too, but that is such a close tie to Rondo of Blood, which is just amazing. And Castlevania 2. People shit on Castlevania 2 left and right, but you know what? Castlevania 2 had some of the best 8-bit music I've ever heard. So
that's where Bloody Tears came from.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It's the original. That's what got me started.
And the mansion theme, too, is pretty damn nice.
Yep.
Just the progressions. Very nice progressions. That's what I like, too. The chord progressions and that.
Hey, it stopped most of us from throwing the controller through the TV, falling through the invisible blocks.
Hey, I actually enjoyed that game when I was in junior high.
Same here.
All right.
I also enjoyed Zelda 2, so.
What about you, Oliver?
To be honest, I really, really like the game over theme in the Final Fantasy games. I know that's a bit very weird.
No, because the Final Fantasy game over theme, what I liked about those is it was so somber.
Yeah, because there was no checkpoints, you just wasted 6 hours and forgot to save, and you're just like shit. Or obviously the Final Fantasy VIII main theme tune.
Yeah.
I can't think of what the name is of that, but yeah, I've heard that in a lot of other media since.
Are you talking about when you start a new game, Liberty Fatale?
No. The one where you first it's used all the way through the game. It's whenever you come across one of the sorceresses. It starts to...
Oh, yeah, that dark melody.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I don't know the name of it.
I think it's called Eyes on Me or something.
Yes, because... Yeah. I was going to say, that's a vocal arrangement and everything in that.
I have the soundtrack. I could look it up.
Awesome.
But yeah. What about you, Sarah?
You're a terrible person trying to make me pick a favorite soundtrack. I think
Sophie's choice.
One song that just got stuck in my head that I have liked for a long time is it's called For the Savior. It's from the Lufia series. I think it's done in all 3 games. I know on the 3rd one for Game Boy Color it plays just as the game is starting up, and it's explaining what happened in the first 2 games. I always like that. It's very epic, and sometimes I just leave my Game Boy Color and just let the intro just go on and on while I'm drawing or something. So Lufia has very good soundtrack.
Oh yeah.
All of them, yeah.
Yeah, I was always interested in that series, but that was the first one I played was the one that you got me for Christmas, Lufia on the Game Boy Color.
I found another copy of it in Game Boy, so I got it back, and I love it. Do you like it? Have you played it?
Yeah. I haven't beaten it, but I played a good chunk of it. I did like it though. But
Love it.
let's see. And Lee, what about you?
You just opened one hell of a can of worms there, Chief.
I know. It's hard to choose. I just went ahead and spit out Castlevania.
Oh shit! There's no possible way I could pick one. So many NES games. The one that really stands out in my mind, the ending theme to the original Metroid. The ending theme to Super Metroid, amazing. I've really been on a Symphony of the Night kick. The music in that game, just phenomenal. I have all the Final Fantasy soundtracks, including the 13-disc Final Fantasy XI collection.
Just to say, Lee, about Symphony of the Night, is interesting to play that with a Super Nintendo controller.
Oh yeah.
But in terms of like a best top tier, probably the main theme to Final Fantasy VII, the one when you're walking around the world.
The world theme, I love it. I love that theme. And little side note, something I do every Christmas is I do play the Blue Stinger Christmas theme every Christmas. Actually, when I make when I do my band, like we have Christmas episodes. When we had the Christmas episode every year, that's always in the background. We always play the Blue Stinger Christmas melody. But let's see. And Sean, did I leave you out? Have you said your favorite?
Well, you said to save the best for last. No. To be honest, my favorite is still a Nintendo game, but the Guardian Legend is the theme, but right after when you start the game and you're flying through space and you see all the stars there, and it's a slightly up-tempo version. So you're there in your fighter and you're shooting things. It's like the vertical shooter, and there's that nice synth. And it for some reason, when I think back to nostalgia and actually sitting down playing games, and we'd keep the Super Nintendo in the back porch at my parents' place when I was a kid because we had this big CRT there and this old garage sale thing from the 70s and that, and we'd have this old Nintendo and Super Nintendo both hooked to it and that, and me, my brother, and my sisters would all take turns like playing games, and Guardian Legend would be like the go-to. If nothing else, I'd just sit down and even play like the first couple of minutes.
Awesome.
And that theme was always there, and like you're just flying through space, and that theme is just going, and it's just, so good. Compile made one hell of a game there. I gotta say, it's very underrated. And the music especially. The music I loved on the Guardian Legend.
Great game.
So good.
And Lee, you wanted to share something to us.
Yes, I was thinking back to when we were talking about how different video games and situations have really made an imprint on our lives, and I shit you not, I could make a timeline of my life using just milestones in video games. But a few of the quick ones is we had one heck of a party for the Dreamcast launch. I remember that. We ended up getting 2 Dreamcasts in one night because we sent groups of people to different stores to make sure we could get one. There was a lack of communication there. I remember when Final Fantasy X came out, I was working at GameStop, and I got my copy early, but I didn't have a PlayStation 2. So I had to make a deal with a friend of mine, and I loaned him Final Fantasy X to play it for a week, and then he would, in turn, loan me his PlayStation 2 for a week. Things like that, just the mark in history whenever the game was released, or being there when Ocarina of Time was released. Those things are just, whenever you throw in a game, especially if you were there in the moment and you remember playing it, there's so much more to a game. Whenever you throw it in and start playing it again, it just takes you back, and that's a magical feeling.
Yeah, definitely. And Oliver, you said you like the Chocobo theme.
Yeah,
I love it.
I don't know. I don't know if it's technically a theme. It's like 10 seconds on loop. But
yeah, it's such
across
a good song.
all the games. Yeah, I could just sit there. As soon as you get a chocobo in like any of the games, especially Final Fantasy VII, the music just kicks in, and you just want to ride around on it all day.
I like the Final Fantasy VII version of the Chocobo theme when it was like the surfer version, because they have so many different versions. It was like a real surfer 50s, early 60s vibe to it. I felt like I was a Beach Boy or something. I thought I was like, man, this is really cool. It had the real reverby tremolo guitar. I really liked that. But
when I think of the Chocobo theme, the thing that comes to mind immediately is the Chocobo Hot Cold game from 9. It was such a unique tune.
But that became dry very quickly. right at the end, when you're just sitting there running around in circles, going, for fuck's sake, let me find this one last piece of a map. So I can find
Now, before we go into plugs and in the podcast, this is something that I do on Access Gaming, and that we just talk briefly just about games we've been playing recently. Just maybe like a game we've played this week that we kind of wanted to touch base on. So I'm going to start with you, Oliver. What's a game you've played this week?
Mainly Destiny. I've just been playing Destiny, and do you know what? Yeah, there's a lot of things wrong with it, but they are fixing a lot of it. They are actually listening to the fans. There was big things with
that's one thing I hear about it a lot.
Pardon?
I was just going to say, that's one thing I hear about a lot, that they listen and they turn around. There was a big fix there not too long ago or something, apparently, wasn't there?
Yeah, basically there was a point where you pick up unknown items and you go and get them kind of checked out and basically identified. And there was like legendary things, and everyone's like, yeah, I got a legendary item. And then you get it checked out and you'd be like, oh no, it's actually a rare item or an uncommon. And people were like, what the fuck? So they've actually fixed it, so if you pick up an item, it will give you what you need, which is like a lot of people just were really happy about that, which kind of adds a little bit more. And they've like kind of messed around with people's stats, and they've added extra game features in. Yeah, no, they were actually, you got to remember, it's quite a young game. They're still kind of learning to walk. They get there, but yeah, it's enjoyable.
Awesome. What about you, Sarah? What have you been playing recently?
Mostly I've been playing, what was it? Phoenix Wright versus Professor Layton for 3DS. I've been wanting to get it for 2 months, and I finally did. It was actually pretty good. Like, it's kind of a little slow and clunky at times, and the hints make things a little bit too easy, but I really like the crossover aspect of it. And I also picked up Dragon Warrior 3 for the Game Boy Color, because I found it on a game deals a couple of days ago. I'm like, I've been looking for this for a really long time. So far it's quite enjoyable, lots and lots of combats, and I'm trying to get through Dragon Age Origins again, just because I like it much more than the second one, but that's kind of on the back burner at the moment. So it's all about my handhelds at the moment. What are you playing?
I'm actually opening up Steam to find out.
Scott plays everything. He's just looking at his Steam library to figure out what he's been playing lately. What have you been playing? Come on, Penny.
Well, while he's looking at that, let's Lee, what have you been playing recently?
I recently went through Symphony of the Night again. I also recently went through Silent Hill, and I started up a file on the GameCube version of Resident Evil 0. I haven't finished that yet. I've kind of gotten wrapped up in Gauntlet Dark Legacy. Been playing the crap out of that, so keeping with the spirit of the season, trying to keep it, haunted and gory.
Nice. I think all I've been playing this week, I've been so busy with all the projects I've been putting on myself and work. The only thing I've really been playing this week actually is I've been replaying new Super Mario's 3D World on the Wii U. I went back and started playing that, and because surprisingly, I can't believe the game's almost a year old.
Wow.
And it's just I've been doing so much, and I'll get into that with plugs. I've been doing so much lately. I've been kind of wanting to play a game that I can just turn my brain off And that's a game I can just be like, ooh, bright colors, I like the music. You know? So that's what I've been playing. And Scott, have you figured out what you played off your Steam library?
One of the best games I've played that's been kind of fun is was it Steam World Dig?
Oh, they Burhan did a review with Oliver on that.
I think I kind of that, yeah.
Yeah, it was actually a pretty fun game. I really like the environment and how it's like this kind of Wild West, and then it gets to a certain point of the game, it's like everything that I know is a lie.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, it's a pretty fun game.
Very short though.
Yeah, like I kind of read a little bit ahead, and it seems I'm already like near or way past the halfway point.
Oh, boo.
Oh well. But it's still a pretty cool game. Like, I really like the concept behind it. And I remember playing a game like this that's a Flash game. I think it was a Flash game where, at the end of it, if you go like, I think it was like 6,666 feet deep, then you actually go into hell and you have to fight the devil. I can't remember what the name of the
amazing.
Yeah. Like, I can't remember the name of the game, but it's kind of like the same thing. Like, the mechanics are very, very similar, so I'm just really...
Perhaps it was a predecessor and then they built on it.
Maybe. But yeah, it's a pretty fun game. Other than that, I've been playing Hack and Slash, which is one of the games that came out of the Double Fine.
Humble Bundle.
And it's not a Humble Bundle. It's like out of their Fortnite Amnesia thing, where they basically just kind of stopped the studio for 2 weeks, and they have to like just build crazy games. And the concept behind Hack and Slash, for those who don't know, you actually hack the games.
Oh, right.
So you have to go into there's some parts where you actually go into the code, and you have to look through the code and try to change information around in order to progress through the game. It's a really, really cool concept, and I beat it, and I think I crashed it quite a few times, but I had so much fun playing it.
It's like an educational programming game, and sort of a role-playing game at the same time.
Yeah, it's kind of like Legend of Zelda if Link was given like the tools to actually break into the world and
shape reality. Oh, that's creepy.
Yeah.
Didn't they do that in like?
So it's like.
So didn't they do that in Enter the Matrix or something? There was a thing where once you complete the game, you can actually hack into the. You have to go through a few things.
Oh, I don't know.
I was going to make kind of the same comment as like, what if Link was Neo?
Oh, God.
Yeah, this is basically
with the sunglasses and a green trench coat. That'd be cool.
Yeah, this is if Link were to be Neo. Like, yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I have to draw this now, don't I?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah. And like one of the fun things is you can actually see like two of the tools lets you see the debug mode. So you can see at one point you trigger events like field of vision for all the enemies, and apparently it's the actual debug mode that the developers used to actually build the game. So it's pretty cool.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I want to look into that. I'll probably talk to my guitarist. He does a lot of the Steam stuff. I have a decent laptop, but I do so much with my laptop I can't really play too many PC games, and I don't have enough room for a desktop because I have so many console games and consoles. But yeah, I think what we're going to do is we're going to get into plugs. I'm going to start off with you, Sean.
Well, just to get back to the last thing, the only thing I've been really playing is like Android games, and besides that, just a bit of flat out Ultimate Carnage. Buggy as hell, but I love it. But that's about it, really. So that's long and short of it. But my channel, I should put it in the actual chat there, is Dietless79, and I really just mostly talk about tech, and I just talk on there a lot of times. I haven't done anything with it the last couple months because, like you even said, I just moved into a new place, and things been waiting for them to level out and that now. And I got a new Raspberry Pi video that's half in the can, and I got to do actually the old tutorial. Now they're on version 2.1 whatever on RetroPie. The previous version I was showing was like 1.94 something. That actually just reached 11,000 hits there. The about last week there. I did the video on March, and it's actually pretty good. It just shows how you can set it up. But other than that, same name applies for Twitter, applies for Instagram as well. On Instagram, show off some of my retro gaming and that sometimes there. I might do a Socrates video. I got a Socrates, VTech Socrates there that I got at the Salvation Army thrift store here. I might actually throw that up on the channel soon. But yeah, that's all really with me.
Awesome. And what about you, Lee?
I have a few interesting ones today. I was doing some hunting for video games, and I came across a gentleman named Michael Pierce. He has a kind of like a shop on Amazon. And unlike many people that I contact about purchasing games, this guy was amazing. He was very knowledgeable. He was very cool, down to earth. We talked on the phone. And it's a very good asset if you're looking for a hard game to find. He is great for that. Also, my usual go-to, the Game Master's Realm in Pennsylvania, down by my house. I actually stopped down there earlier today. I picked up Twilight Princess.
Wow.
I picked up Super Monkey Ball and X-Men Legends for GameCube for like $40.
What?
Nice.
And I was just like, are you serious? I already own Twilight Princess on the Wii, but being the purist, Link's got to be left-handed, so I've never played through the GameCube once, so I'm going to give that a go. And if anybody out there still has yet to download Harmony of Heroes, the album is mind-blowing. You could get it at harmonyofheroes.net and download the album for free. It's all fan-made, and it's for inspired music from Smash Brothers. It's amazing. Check it out.
Awesome. And Oliver?
I have nothing gaming to plug. I just have my own awesome self. And if you know how to find me, you know how to find me. If you don't, then you're not worthy.
That's the way it goes. Well, and I mean, you can check out Oliver doing some reviews with Michael Burhan. I'll go ahead and I don't know all of Michael Burhan's plugs. Just look up the Nerd Genius on YouTube and Michael Burhan as well. And I'll go ahead and say you can add him on Facebook, Michael Burhan. Haha. Yeah. I don't know. The guy has so many plugs, I can't remember all of them. But myself, I do have a YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/XanderScullion. And I'm a hostler. I host an audio podcast called Excess Gaming Podcast. You can listen to it on Podomatic.com or subscribe to us on iTunes. And I did want to do a quick plug on a podcast I was a guest on yesterday. It was a podcast on Podbean called Entertainment Talk Nation. You can also look up Entertainment Talk Nation on YouTube, but it's a good friend of mine, Rob, and his channel covers video games, but also covers TV shows like Game of Thrones, Walking Dead, and movies as well. Like he'll do reviews on, like, say, the new Dracula movie or the new Hobbit movie. Godzilla was a really big thing. That's how I found his channel. So look that up as well. Him and I did a little podcast, and that was a lot of fun. I'm probably going to come back and do a couple more episodes with him as a guest, but that's about it for me. I mean, other than, if you want to listen to some of the video game music I've been doing, just put in Xander Scullion on SoundCloud or on Reverb Nation as well. But anyway, from Sarah, from Oliver, from Lee, and from Sean and myself, Xander Scullion, and Michael Burhan, we've got gameplay. Have you?